Rome did not fall because of a single battle, a single revolt, or the mistake of one emperor. The process was slow, and most people realized what was happening only when it was already too late. Each time the silver content of the currency was reduced, the state gained temporary relief. Soldiers were paid, borders were briefly secured, and cities continued to function. But each time, the cost became heavier. Money was drifting further and further away from being a true representation of labor and production. As the denarius lost its value, the Roman people's trust in the state began to erode. They saw that the money they worked for, fought for, and saved was buying less and less with each passing year. This affected not only the economy, but society as a whole. The wealthy began storing their assets in gold and land, while the poor were forced into debt simply to survive. The middle class gradually disappeared, and with it went one of the empire's most important pillars. Instead of solving these growing problems, the state tried to manage them by issuing more money and further debasing the currency. But this vicious cycle only accelerated inflation. Trade declined, long-distance commerce shrank, and the economic ties that once bound the empire together began to weaken. Once trust in the currency disappeared, people turned inward. Producing locally and consuming locally. This slowly dismantled the economic unity that had made Rome powerful. The situation was no different for the soldiers. Even when they were paid, their wages no longer covered their basic needs. As a result, they demanded higher pay or shifted their loyalty to other commanders. The army was the backbone of the empire, and as that backbone weakened, political instability increased. Power struggles, civil wars, and short-lived emperors followed one another in rapid succession. In the end, even when Rome still possessed the military strength to face external threats, it had lost the economic and social foundation needed to sustain that strength from within. Money ceased to be a unifying force and became a source of division. Long before it officially collapsed, the empire merely appeared to be standing. Rome's story reminds us of this. A state's true strength lies not only in its armies or its borders, but in the trust its people place in their money. When that trust disappears, even the most magnificent structures begin to crack at the foundation. The fall of Rome is not just a tragedy of the past, it is a quiet warning that still applies to anyone who underestimates the value of sound money.